Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Bonjour. Hello. On the 18th of June, 2020, in a diary I bought in 2019, December, in the streets of Rabat, when I first arrived, I wrote this poem. A fear of change and embracing change, of fair upbringing and youthful mistakes, of separation and acceptance, of leaving one's home and creating a home, of growth that leads to pain and pain that leads to growth, of money and empty pockets, of dark, cold nights and a Christian under the Moroccan sun. Nearly 3 years after the writing of this piece, almost everything that I predicted about my journey here in Morocco has come to pass, and much more. Right off the bat, I want to say something. I'd like to echo the words of most people who have studied abroad. Studying abroad is a great opportunity for experience, growth, and fun. However, everyone here knew that already, right? For example, with a show of hands, like this, how many of us in this room knew that learning a new language transforms your brain? That's like everyone. And this shows us that most of us know the benefits of studying abroad. However, have you noticed that these benefits we're told about are often a long-term reward? I'll give language, for example. Learning the French alphabet and getting to a point of understanding when someone tells you, vous vous en sortez. For you to understand that it doesn't mean getting out of something, it's quite a long distance. And I want to talk about this distance, this space between where you are and what you are promised. Now, don't mind these. You are too important to be forgotten, and everything here must be said. So, a fear of change and embracing change, a fair upbringing and youthful mistakes, of separation and acceptance. There's different types of foreign students that we can think about, and it depends on the distinction that you give them. I use these two distinctions. There is the country hoppers who spend short amounts of time in different countries learning, and there is the campers who spend the entire duration of their stay in a country doing their course. Now, you won't find these things on the internet because I made them up, but I am a camper, and I will talk to you about campers. How's that? Good? Okay. Gonna find our way back here. Okay, so we spoke about campers, right? Remember that? So a camper. Campers, like me, go through an integration process where we gradually integrate into our community and get used to it. This involves us going through things like culture shock. You know, the things like the different sides of driving on the road. Or, for example, the fact that everyone peeps outside, including the beloved cat, and there's a fight outside, but nobody comes out. The difference is, in my country, when there's a fight outside, the entire neighborhood comes out. Like there's an entire gathering and a reunion for us to meet and stop the fight. But it doesn't happen here. Or something different, like the fact that, in my observation, Moroccans tend to like cats more than they like dogs. It's different in Zambia. It's the complete inverse. The thing about that is, it's something that's very hard to get used to. Another thing I'll mention is, there's little things, like how you give objects to elders. In my country, Zambia, when you give an object to an elder, you have to kneel down if they're sitting. And if they're standing, you do this cute little bow, and you give it to them. And you receive objects with 2 hands to show respect. I still do this here in Morocco to show respect, but it doesn't mean the same thing here. And then at this point, when you have eventually gotten used to the culture shock, you have changed your habits, you've enjoyed the different weather, the extreme weather, the better weather, you now get to this point where you've calmed down, you understand where you are, and you have adjusted. But right when you think you've gotten the hang of everything, something jumps out at you and punches you right in the face. We call this homesickness. You suddenly remember what it smells like when your aunt cooks beef and domanda. It's a dish in my country. And I had an interesting conversation with some international students. I asked them, what is the first thing you think about when you think of the word home? Some people said, the comfort, the peace, the security. Most of them, actually, went ahead and said, the food, nshima in particular. It's a meal that we make in my country that's made of maize meal, and you pound it, and it's tasteless. It tastes like absolutely nothing. But it enhances the taste of everything that you eat. And when I came to Morocco, it was very difficult for me to adjust because there was no shima here in this country. There was nothing like it. 2 weeks after my stay, I began to feel weak because I hadn't eaten shima in a very long time, until we discovered a variant we could make with smida, actually, and I still have that to this day. So after this point, as a student, you have adjusted, you've learned the environment, you've tried different foods, and this happens. Now, at this point in time, when the camper has gotten used to the food in the area and the language, and picked up new phrases like the one I said at the beginning of my speech, at this point, the country hopper is about to leave. The difference is the camper is now settling down. What does this mean? It means that I, as a student, will begin to engage more with the culture around me. I'll begin to learn about people. I will begin to pick up more phrases. I will begin to make friends. Think about that for a second. As a camper, unlike the hopper, I have a lot of time to spend in Morocco. My course duration is 5 years. For medical students, they will spend 7 years here. And there are people who come to Morocco on high school scholarships, and they spend 12 years here in Morocco. Now, after you spend 12 years, you begin to feel a sense of home in your environment, don't you? You begin to feel like you're part of this new people that you've gotten to know. Now, as students begin to mold their lives around their new environment, they begin to become a part of it. Remember when I said that you were too important to be forgotten? I don't want to forget anything in this moment. I'd like to give an example. One of the ways that a student will feel accepted in this new environment that they begin to integrate into is the ways in which they meet with other people. For example, in my first year, my first summer, a friend of mine invited me to go to the old Medina of Fez and to spend some time with them there. Okay. Oh, here we go. So here we are. We got to visit the old Medina of Fez, and with my friends, I was able to visit Al-Qarawiyyin University and to learn the history about it there. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the first time that I felt included and accepted. And I bought this little souvenir that's of the Bab in Fez, and I still have it on my fridge today. I asked a number of international students, What is their experience with their time in their community? What are the ways in which they spend time with the local community? And one of those ways is that they visited monuments, like myself. They visited homes, they visited families, and that's an amazing way to connect with people. The last thing I said is the most important one, because the point at which you begin to meet families is the point when you really begin to feel at home. In this picture, I am with my friend Hidayah and my friend Adam. She is. And it was after an enormous victory against other teams in a debate competition. And this is the first time that I began to feel included and accepted as a member of a community in Morocco. In this picture, I am with some colleagues from Nigeria and from Zambia, and I visited my friend Aisha's house to have a meal with them. In this picture, I'm at Hidayah's house for the second time, actually, and we spent some time with them there. The most amazing thing I did when I was there was I learned how to pour Moroccan tea. Okay. It's not playing. Well, since I have already been embarrassed enough, we're going to go on. In this video, it shows me trying to pour some Moroccan tea, and I was pretty scared, but it was a very beautiful experience for me. So after we've gotten past this point, we want to talk about the polar opposite of this experience. Okay. The polar opposite of this is the fact that even as students begin to feel included, they also have to deal with people in the community who make them feel excluded. This includes situations where you face racial microaggressions, situations like linguistic biases, and basically just abuse. And I know these are big words, and so I want to give us an example to make sense of all of this. Is that all right? A few months ago, I was walking out of my school with my friends after a long, warm, and tiring day. And so we were deep in conversation. There's a 2-lane road from my school. You have 2 bus stations, one on the left side, one on the right side. And so we're walking on the right side. And as we were deep in conversation, I felt something go. A rock hit the sand just behind my feet, behind me. Then another one, another one. Another one flew over my head. Stones and pebbles had been thrown at my friends and I from the bus station on the other side by little children. I don't know why, and I don't know the reasons. Maybe it's the same reason that teenagers shout profanities as we walk by them, or the same reason that people or men, some men, assume that you're a prostitute on first sight. I don't know the reasons. What I can say about that is, a lot of the time, it's very hard to be away from home. Having said that, there is one last thing I'd love to share with you. A year ago, 2 years after I spent time in Morocco, I was talking to my best friend and my biggest cheerleader. I told her, "You know, Mom, this reminds me of something. There's some things that I believe in, and one of them is that the world is not my home forever. I believe that I am here, I have a purpose, I have a reason to live, but I always long for my home. I long for a place where there is no sorrow and no pain, to be with the God that I believe in peace. But while I am here, I have a chance to experience very beautiful things. I have a chance to enjoy the beauty of sunsets, to enjoy the nuances of people and places and culture. And it reminds me of my experience here in Morocco. Right now, I face some pretty hard